Monday, everyone. Thank you for tuning into today's session. My name is Kashira. I am an international board certified coach. My specialty is business coaching, and I primarily work with new, emerging, and experienced coaches on growing and scaling their coaching practice in a way that is in full alignment and is not scammy. Hey, Andrea. Today, I wanted to pop on before I take my face off and become undone because I have a message on my heart. And today I want to talk to you about how to recognize if you are outgrowing your business model. This is primarily for coaches and course creators, but this can apply to anyone that is in entrepreneurship. Honestly, take what you need, leave what you don't. If you know anyone that could benefit from this, please hit the share button, share this out with anyone and everyone that you know. But this topic is especially important to me because I remember going through this period of just feeling like I had outgrown my business and not really understanding what that meant and what these feelings were. It wasn't that I wasn't enjoying it. It just felt like it's almost like wearing shoes that's a little too small. It's like, okay, it's just uncomfortable. Something not right here, right? And this pivot moment for me happened a few years ago as I was finally starting to get away from having a suite of coaching offers. At this point in time, I had three options for coaching services, and I also had a membership program that I was highly active in. It was not a passive thing at all. And I was trying to figure out what my next steps were because I knew that I had outgrown my business model, and that actually led me to creating my signature flagship program, the Founder Circle. That is something that years ago when I started coaching, I never knew I would have. I thought that my coaching offers was going to look like a menu at a restaurant because I just loved working with everybody. I had boundary issues. I didn't know how to say no to people, and as long as I could help you, I would help you, right? So I want to help you before you get to the point that I was at, feeling like you want to throw the whole business away, and help you figure out how to recognize these warning signs and what your next step should be. So one of the first warning signs that you are outgrowing your business model is you are starting to dread coaching calls and engaging with your clients. Like, you are not happy, you are not excited. You look at the calendar for the day and you're like, "Whew, child, I don't know if I can do this one." Like, that's how you are starting to feel. When in the beginning, you were excited to see client names on your calendar and X, Y, and Z. The reason for this, and there's a couple. One of the primary reasons why you could be dreading engaging with your clients is that you've actually attracted the wrong type of client. You may be in a situation where you just took whatever clients came because, let's be honest, sometimes you just need the coin, right? Or you may have messaging that is not positioning you correctly to attract the right kind of folks, and or you may not have qualified that client, where even though this person has a problem you can solve, they may not necessarily be qualified for that offer. And so in this instance, one of the first things you want to think about from a business model standpoint is, let's go back to the drawing board of who I want to help. I'm sure you're probably sick of hearing about the target customer, target client, but this is not a one and done thing. This is something that you want to continuously revisit, especially as you scale, especially as you decide what you want your next steps to look like. If you are the coach who has the feelings that I can help literally any and everybody as long as they check these 2 or 3 boxes, you're going to run into this one really, really fast if you have not dialed in on who you're actually called to help and who you're best suited to help. Another reason why you could be having this issue is because there's a lack of structure to your coaching offers and programs, right? This typically happens when your program is structured as there's just a definite number of calls and a really long intake form, and you're curating the coaching experience based on that person's form. What that's doing energetically is draining and overwhelming you, because that's cute for 1 or 2 clients, but when you have a roster of 7, 8, 9, 10, or 20, 30, 40, that's very energetically draining. And it's not going to be a good experience for the client because it's not going to be consistent. No two experiences are going to be alike. No two results are going to be alike. And I know that there's this misconception that private coaching is like the best and this and that. The danger in that is the client doesn't know what they don't know. So if they are expected to just come to calls and ask questions and that's literally it, that's not going to be a good experience for them. Then you on the other end, you're just going into these coaching calls blind. So you don't know what they're going to bring up or what they're going to ask. And if you're a life coach watching me, a spiritual coach, there are certain techniques that you have to prepare for if you're going to do them on a call, right? Like if you determine that somebody needs to release a limiting belief or whatever, like that's a multi-step process. And so in the moment, you're kind of scrambling, getting your things together, and it's just not a really good experience. And so in this instance, going back to figuring out exactly who you're meant to serve, you can now curate the brand promise of your offer to now solve a very specific problem. So it's no longer Russian roulette on like what goal are you going to help somebody accomplish today. Additionally, you then need to build your own frameworks, right? An easy way to think about that is the outline of your program. Remember when we were in college or high school, and at the first day of school, you were handed a syllabus, and the syllabus told you what to expect. You knew what chapter you were going to be on and what week. You knew when you had an exam coming up. You knew when the paper was due. That's how it is for coaching, right? And this is actually typically something that you keep internally, and you give your client like a different version of it, because on the internal version, it's not only the outline, but also the techniques you're going to use and the questions you're going to ask and the homework assignments you're going to give them. In my coaching program, the Founder Circle, I give really great templates for building out the curriculum of your coaching program and to help my coaches understand how many calls do you actually need to have to help your client solve a problem. What kind of homework do you need to give them? How does that impact your pricing? What techniques actually make sense? How many calls and in terms of duration, virtual support, all of that boiled down, will it take to actually help them accomplish that goal? So again, if some of what I'm saying is resonating already, these may be some of the immediate solutions you want to think about in order to help with that overwhelm, that burnout, and to just not be sick of your business, right? Because again, the thing here is we're outgrowing it. Like in the beginning, when you're first getting started as a new coach, sure, the Q&A style and 1 hour intensives and taking anybody that came was fun and easy and it made sense. But as you're getting more experience, you're getting deeper into your practice, you're going to outgrow that. And then it's going to be just a lot of discomfort and pain and not really understanding why. So that's one of the first warning signs that you are completely outgrowing your business model. You are dreading engaging and not interacting with your clients. The next warning sign is creating your marketing materials and your content literally feels like, I want to say, pulling teeth, pulling hair. It feels like a drag. And the reason why it feels like a drag is not because of how much work goes into curating content, because that's a whole other video, right, of how much goes into that. But it feels like that because you don't really know what to say. It feels like every time you need to go live or every time you need to send an email, every time you need to come up with your next launch campaign, it's like you feel like you're starting all over again and you don't really know where to look. There's a couple reasons for this, but one of the first things here is not having really strong messaging, because your strong messaging and your brand pillars are the core of all of your content. Right? Creating content, in my opinion, should actually be fun because it gives you an opportunity to be creative. But the issue for a lot of people is, what am I actually saying? Well, that goes back to, again, your messaging, your brand pillars, what's your program about, your brand promise, how are you actually helping people? Right? And so with this being said, if creating content is starting to feel like the last thing you want to do and something that you're dreading, it's another sign that you may be outgrowing your model, because in this instance, you're probably feeling this urgency to do this a lot, like every day, every other day, because you need to continue to fill client spots, which is another reason why you're outgrowing your business model, because you're always in like hunting mode versus like nurturing mode, right? Of actually nurturing your audience and nurturing the leads you have. You feel like you have to always go out and get them. So one thing we do in the Founder Circle is something that I like to call the live launch method, which the live launch method takes a good amount of time, but it basically gives you the full blueprint of how to fill all of your client spots at one time. And the good thing about that is, depending upon how long your programs are, that could mean you don't have to launch for 3, 4, 5, 6 months, maybe even a year, depending upon how long your program is. So with that being said, if the live launch method is something that's of interest to you, make sure you join me on Thursday. I'm hosting a free live training called Master Your Method, How to Increase Your Revenue by $100,000 this year. And in that class, I'm going to break down the frameworks we use within the founder circle to achieve those goals while creating alignment within our business. So the link to apply to that is in my bio, or you can head to thefoundercircle.com/apply. Again, it's this Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but we're going to do a deeper dive into some of the things I'm covering today. The next warning sign is that you're stretched thin financially. This one is really, really important. Whatever your financial goal is your prerogative in your business. But if you feel like hitting that goal every month is a miracle, and you feel like you're just constantly getting lucky versus it being predicted, huge warning sign. If you feel like if revenue has been stagnant for 5, 6 months or more, warning sign. If you feel like you're not seeing a lot of profit, right? And with this being said, it's not about, in the early stages, to go a little deeper into this, in the early stages, a lot of your revenue, it gets reinvested back into the business. Those reinvestments look like technology, apps, people, coaching, courses, certifications, licenses, X, Y, and Z. So in the beginning, your profit may not be as high. However, if there is barely enough profit left over to pay yourself, if every month you are doing creative accounting to make these things add up at the end of the day, this is a telltale warning sign that you are outgrowing your business model. Because typically in this instance, you are working really, really hard, and you may even have a client roster, but the work that's being put in is not matching the pay. Part of the reason why we left corporate in the first place was to actually have our pay match our work, match our effort. So in this instance, there are so many different things that you can do to remedy this, but this is a huge warning sign. Like, if at the end of the day you are exhausted and worn out and you're trying to figure out what's going on, this is a huge warning sign. This may mean most people, especially newer business coaches, would just simply say, raise your rates. All you gotta do is raise your rates. But oftentimes it's not that simple. I've found that this is more of a complex issue. It's really looking at what are you selling in the first place? Because if you're undercharging across the board, doing $100 price raise across all of that is just not going to make sense. Sometimes, to take it from somebody who used to drastically undercharge, sometimes this is going to require a complete pivot, a complete reposition where you almost scrap all of what you're doing, right? And you actually reinvent the brand, the business, and the offers. You typically will now go to a different business model where you have a signature offer, you may have a digital passive product, and you really go all in on that signature one, because typically this is going to require more effort from you to actually build, develop, and to structure in the right way, like I mentioned earlier, with the right frameworks and tools and things like that, to now warrant the higher price tag, right? Because again, in my world, we're premium or high ticket, we need to actually have an offer that matches that. And so while I am the person that says, yes, raise your rates, I'm also the person that says, well, back that shit up. Like, you need to make sure your coaching program is actually all that, right? It needs to match that price tag, which is why I say charge for the value. Charge for the value of the offer. Don't associate your personal worth with it. Associate the value of the offer, right? And so with that being said, when you decide to roll out a new premium signature thing that you want to be known for, that you want to be best in class, that typically requires a bit of a rebrand. It typically requires new messaging, new positioning, a new content strategy, a whole new everything, right? And this doesn't have to mean a ton of money is spent. But there is a lot of strategy that has to go into it, and also a lot of vision planning that has to go into it as well, to ensure that what you are doing is still in full alignment. Because we do want to make sure, and that's something that I'm passionate about, make sure the business that you build actually feels good to you. It's something that you actually enjoy. And when I use the word alignment, I just mean that it doesn't feel like something that is out of character or scammy or just yucky. Like we don't want none of that. Fourth warning sign: if your business is living in the moment every day, all day. And what this means is that you start every day almost basically not knowing what to do, right? Like you come and you sit at your desk, whether you're part-time or full-time, whenever you start to work on your business, and you're like, I don't really know what I'm doing. I don't know what I should be doing. What's going on here? What are my priorities? This is not to be shady. This is just the truth, right? Like you don't know what the next steps are, right? Each day almost feels like a rat race to generating more revenue, to figuring out what to post. Like there is no consistent plan. Right? There's no consistent plan. This is another warning sign that you're outgrowing your model. Because also, let's go back in time when we were brand new and getting started. There was millions of things going on and millions of things to do, and we were always busying ourselves. But now we've gotten through some of the beginner things. We've gotten through setting up our social accounts and doing a webinar and creating the opt-in. And so now all these things are built, and now we're just sitting here like, now what? Right? Which is why it's so important to me as a coach, even though the Founder Circle, my program, is all about creating your signature offer, selling it in a way that feels good and is in alignment, creating something that drives results for the client, X, Y, and Z. I don't just leave you hanging after you've built and sold the offer. We actually have additional modules in our program that shows you how to now actually refine the offer and how to continue to grow your brand and your business on a global scale. So if you are someone who has consistent clients, consistent revenue, you're happy with your business, but you feel like you don't really know what you're doing, like behind the scenes, there may even be a little bit of imposter syndrome. This is the warning sign for you that it may be time to now step into that CEO seat officially and start to actually expand and grow your business. And the last warning sign that I want to leave you with today is that you overall have feelings of discontent. The definition of discontent is basically dissatisfaction. You are not enjoying it, right? And that's not to say that there will not be bad days. There will be bad days. There are some days where you don't feel like it, and some days you don't even want to get out of the bed. That's completely normal. But if this is every day for you, all day for you, feelings of dread, unhappiness, you're not enjoying it, it's a telltale sign that it's time to revamp your business model. And you only you know why you're feeling like this. There could be a myriad of reasons why, but I know that anytime I felt discontent, it typically was paired with overwhelm, where I felt like I was just drowning under work and clients and obligations. I didn't have any support. I didn't have a coach at the time. I didn't have a team at the time. And I didn't really know what way was up. Right. And that to me did not say quit. It just said, we got to get a new direction. It's time to go in a different, we need to make a left instead of a right. Right. And so with that being said, this is where you have to have a heart to heart with yourself to say, am I really enjoying this? Am I happy here? And if I'm not, what am I going to do to change this? We did not get into entrepreneurship for life to just keep happening to us like it did at work, when you had to kind of just take what you were given and that's really it. You are fully in the driver's seat here, and you have full control over your next steps, but it's about you now actively making that decision. Again, not letting life happen to you, but being a co-creator of your life, making intentional decisions around your business and the things that you choose to engage in, how you choose to position yourself, the clients you choose to take on, the rates you choose to charge, the investments you choose to make. You can co-create your life, but you have to step into that seat and recognize any limiting beliefs that might be blocking you from actually seeing the full truth of that. So with that being said, I hope that you decide to join me on Thursday for our Master Your Method free live training. Again, you can apply to attend at thefoundercircle.com/apply, so I can break down for you how you can add an extra $100,000 in revenue to your coaching business this year without scamming nobody or paid advertising. With that, I will talk to you guys in the next video. Have a great night. Bye.